Hi, I am the Tinkering Turtle, and today is our third installment of the Magicycle series. Today we're going to do a first ride, and I'm real excited to see what this bike can do. It's put together real clean, and I'm just excited to see how it takes on the hills and how much power it has. But before we do that, I wanted to do a couple last minute things. First of all, I want to put some lubricant on the chain, and what I use is a Finish Line dry bike lubricant. It goes on wet and then dries into like a waxy film, so as dirt gets on the chain, it doesn't stick to anything moist because it's just dry, it'll bounce right off. So I really like this. I'm not sponsored, it's just a good product that I've used on all my bikes. Second thing we're gonna do is check the tire pressure in the tires before we leave. Typically, I run on asphalt bike paths, so I set my tire pressure to about 22 to 25 psi normally. If you're going to run in softer material like dirt or sand, you may want to lower that tire pressure to get a better grip. So let's get to it. So my process for applying the dry lubricant to the chain is pretty simple. I use a marker, the dry lubricant, and some sort of towel or rag. What I like to do is mark one of the links so I know where I start and where to end. And then I take the lubricant, shake it up really good, and then I'll take the rag. So I'll make sure I know where my mark is, and then I'll just apply along the chain. And I'll just keep doing that until I get back around to the mark. And there's my mark, so I've gone completely around the chain. So now I'll give that 10 or 15 minutes to dry, work it in a little bit, and we'll be off to the races. While I let that dry, let's check the tire pressure in the tubes. So to check the tire pressure in your tubes, I have a nice little pressure gauge filler for my compressor. Just take off the bike cap, the stem cap. I'll clamp on the attachment, and it says I have just under 20 psi, and there's 25. Pop that off and we're good to go. Do the same thing for the front tire. 25 psi. Let's get on the road. So I want to take a quick second and talk about bedding the brakes. The reason you bed your brakes is when they first come, they may not be completely parallel to the rotor. And the concept behind bedding the brakes is to slightly wear in the brakes so that it becomes parallel and has an even wear along the brake pad to the rotor. So you get your bike going 15 or 20 miles an hour, you apply both brakes, come almost to a stop, maybe down to 3 or 4 miles an hour, and then you feather the brakes back out. You don't want to come to a full stop, and the reason is when the pads first come, they can have a residue on them, and if you heat up the rotor through the process of braking and then come to a complete stop, that residue can stick to the rotor and basically create a hard spot on it, so you get pulsing brakes and that kind of thing. So you want to do the bedding process 10 or 12 times so that that pad wears into the rotor properly and you don't get any marks or wear on the rotor itself. Let's get out to the road. Okay, so I'm on the Magicycle. Woo! That pedal assist one kicks in good. First thing we're going to do is we're going to bed the brakes, so I need to turn around here. I got a camera set up back there. So we're going to get going about 15 miles an hour. And then we're going to squeeze the brakes, not come to a stop, and let loose. And that gets us going. So we're going about 15 miles an hour. And then we'll let loose. All right, 15, 16 miles an hour. Grab the brakes tight. Before we get to a stop, we'll let loose, feather them out, And I'll do this 10 or 12 times. I'm probably not going to show all of that on the video, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what I'm doing. I get going 15 miles an hour and then brake and feather it out. I hope you can see that on all the camera angles. Okay, I've done that 10 or 12 times. I'm done bedding the brakes. I'm going to go ahead and put away the GoPro and the stand, and then we'll take this thing out for a proper ride. Okay, now that I've got the brakes bedded in, we're going to go ahead and take off down the path, and I'm going to start trying to give you, my first impressions as we go along. So far, I have to admit, this thing takes off pretty quick. I started up in pedal assist 3, and it takes me right up to 15, 16 miles an hour. It's pretty impressive. The motor is, I'd say, slightly louder than my Hemiway. I'm going up my first hill here. Wow, that just cruised right up and over that hill without any trouble. I'm barely pedaling. Another hill. That's no question, that thing just cruises. I don't know if it's the extra torque from the motor or exactly what happens there, but boy, I'll tell you what, that is a strong bike. That's pretty cool. In fact, I like that so much, I'm going to turn around and go up the big hill again. And this is just pedal assist 3. I'm going to actually turn it down to pedal assist 1 and see how it goes. That was fun. Now, pedal assist 1, I'm getting about 12 miles an hour. I'll put it in 4th gear. I'm getting 12 miles an hour, and I'm just going to go up. And this is a fairly steep hill. I'd say probably 35, 40 degrees. Wow, that just climbs right up and over that hill. No problem. Now I'm going to stop real quick. I'm going to get off. The wire and the motor are perfectly cool. That's awesome. Wow, this thing has so much torque. That's impressive. That's impressive for sure. I can do hills all day long now. That's pretty neat. The Hemiway does an excellent job on the hills, and you can definitely feel the higher torque on that bike. But this one, I'm not going to say it's hands down, but it's better. There's no question about it. Let's kick up to level 3. Kick it up a couple gears. 6th or 7th gear, just right up over the hill. That's awesome. Again, you can hear the motor kind of bogging down just a touch, but it goes right up these steep hills like they're not even there. That's pretty cool. How you doing? So next thing I like to do is I put it in pedal assist 2 in like gear 6, and I want to see how easy it is to ride with no hands. And it's always scary doing this the first time with a new bike. Oh, that's really well balanced. That's really well balanced. I'm impressed. It's kind of a nasty bike path to do this on, but yeah, that's nice. I always like a well-balanced bike that you can ride with no hands, and it's got plenty of power. I could ride this thing up and over hills with no hands, I'll bet, just because it's got enough power. You don't have to put all the strength into your legs, and you can just go up and over the hill. Maybe I'll try that later. It's got a decent riding position, the handlebars being up a little higher. It isn't bad. I think at 6'3", I think I definitely want to come up a little bit more. So I might get an adjustable stem and put on this, but I probably won't go as far as I did with the Hemiway and put on a riser, because the handlebars already bring you up quite a bit. And I don't feel like I'm leaning way over on it. I could probably get away with it the way it is, but I like a little bit more upright seating position. So I think that's probably what I'll do in the future, is I'll probably get myself an adjustable bike stem and just do it that way. It's just a nice, easy ride. This thing's got a ton of power. If I want to open this thing up, it just goes. Let's throttle it. 15, 16, 18, 19, 22, and it peaks out around 22, 23 miles an hour. That's pretty quick. That's not bad. We'll do it from a dead stop here in front of the park. See what that looks like. Got a little bit of a straightaway. See if I can get all the way up to speed before I hit the end of it. Okay, from a dead stop, I'm going to just throttle only, no pedaling. 5, 10, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, boom. That's fast. That's fast. You can definitely tell this motor has some decent torque on it. This is pretty impressive. My initial impressions, I have to admit, it's better than the Hemiway. The brakes do seem a little soft, and I took it for a very short ride right after I assembled it, maybe 100 yards, and I reached out to Magicycle. I mean, the brakes aren't bad, they just don't stop quite as quickly as Hemiway, and now that I've bedded them in, they're actually working better than they were. But I did reach out to Magicycle and I asked them about it, and they said since people were having trouble with these calipers getting the brakes adjusted properly, they were actually going to swap out and put maybe Tektro Aries calipers on, which will be a little stronger caliper, I think. So I'm kind of excited to see that. That should be out in the second or third batch, and that'll get us even better brakes. But other than that one caveat, I would have to say that this bike is, I hate to say it, but it's better than the Hemiway. It's stronger and it gets there quicker, and going up and over hills, even at my weight, which is maxing out the bike's capacity, it really is impressive. Just that extra few Newton meters of torque. They claim 86, but boy, I tell you what, it feels like more. It's impressive. I could definitely see this becoming my daily rider. I put a Suntour seat post on my Hemiway and it made all the difference. It was fantastic. So I'm looking forward to doing that on this bike as well. It's a nice morning for a ride. A little windy, but it's got a great temperature. It's about 68 degrees, I think, maybe 70. But in the shade, I mean, it's not cold and it's not warm, so it's perfect. Now here we are, we're in pass 2. I'm going up a slight hill, maybe 20 degrees, and I'm not having to put a significant extra amount of effort in the pedals. It's just going right up the hill. That's awesome. Like I said, the motor's slightly louder than the Hemiway's, but it's a lot stronger too. So I think that's a good trade-off. Okay, right up ahead here, there's a hill that's probably 50 or 60 degrees. I'm going to kick the pedal assist up to 5. I think it's set at 0 to 7 right now. And we're going to see how good this bike can really do, because this is a steep hill. I'm probably going to go up and gear 5, pedal assist 5, and see what happens. I'm pretty stoked about this bike. It is cruising right up hills, and I love going over hills on my electric bike. Let's see what we can do. So 5.5. Wow, this is a steep hill. At least 50 degrees. And that just cruised right up it. No problem. On my Hemiway, I need to gear down to probably 3 and kick the pedal assist all the way up to 7 to get up that hill. This thing cruised right up it, no problem. And it's at least a 50-degree hill. That's crazy. Let's continue riding a little bit. So let's go back up the hill the other way. And I know the one going back is at least 60 degrees. So we're going to do the same thing, 5 and 5. And see how it goes. But man, I am impressed with the way this thing goes up and over hills. It's crazy. Pedaling hard right up that 60-degree hill, no problem. Well, I'll tell you what, I am very impressed with this bike so far. It is just cruising right up and over hills. Let's head home and I will stop and give you my final assessment of the bike. Well, I'm back from my first ride and I have to tell you, this is an impressive bike. It's got a lot of power going up and over hills and it just rides really smooth. I am super impressed. I can see these things just flying off the shelf. 750 watt motor, 52 volt battery, up to a 22 amp controller. It does have a hardtail, so you might want to put in a suspension seat post, but it's got the really nice color LCD screen. And I gotta say, I am impressed with the power. This thing just flies up and over hills. It is really nice. I love my Hemiway for sure, but this bike, with the notable exceptions of the brakes being a little on the soft side, this bike is definitely, it definitely takes it. I could see this becoming my daily rider. I did talk to Magicycle about the brake calipers and the problems I'm having with them, and again, they're not super bad. Once you bed in the brakes, they do stop pretty well, but I think I'm going to try putting in different brake pads and see if that helps. They did say that on future batches they are going to switch to a different brand of caliper that are easier to adjust. So I think when they do that, that'll probably help as well. Overall, I'm going to give this bike really good marks. I definitely can see this taking off and people just cleaning these off the shelf. If you are interested in purchasing one, I do have a $100 discount per bike. What you do is you go down in the description of this video or any of the videos I've done on Magicycle bikes, and there's a share a sell link. When you click on that, it'll take you to the magicyclebike.com. You pick the bikes you want, the 1 or 2 bikes, and then you input the coupon code that applies to the number of bikes you bought. For example, if you bought 1 bike and you're doing checkout, then you put in Turtle 100 and you'll get $100 off of that bike. And right now they're on sale until the end of this month for $1,400, $1,399. Plus you get the $100 off of that. If you buy 2 bikes, you use the coupon code 2bikes and you'll get $100 off of each of the bikes. So for $1,299 till the end of the month, that's an excellent deal. After the end of the month or the first, I can't remember which, then the price will go back up to normal price. So if you are interested, now's a great time to do it. Oh, I also wanted to mention that even after the end of the month, the $100 coupons will still work. So anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I will catch you next time.